Well, hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode number 179. I'm Emily McDermott, and I am here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. Today's episode topic comes directly from someone in my community. If you are not already part of the free Facebook group, come on over to tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. Now, this mama, her name is Amy. She has two kids, ages 6 and 4, and she asks about how do you deal with kids who are emotionally attached to every piece of plastic and paper that comes home with them? This is an excellent question, and I am really excited to answer it today. So what do you say? Grab that notebook and pen, and let's dive into today's episode. Hey there, Mama. Are you tired of all the stuff crowding your home, calendar, and mind? Do you wish you could say goodbye to the endless to-do list running around in your head? Want to declutter but don't know where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm, where you will find proven and practical solutions to declutter your home, head, and heart. Hi, I'm Emily, a wife, boy mom, and simplicity seeker. I struggled to get pregnant and felt overwhelmed until I discovered decluttering could create the physical and emotional space I needed to become a mom. Now, 2 kids later, I've transformed my life and motherhood by developing simple systems around decluttering, capsule wardrobes, kid stuff, cleaning and tidying, meal planning, time management, and more, and I can't wait to share them with you. If you're ready to reclaim the time and energy you crave, be present with your kids, and finally enjoy the life and motherhood you so deserve, let's kick overwhelm to the curb, shall we? Grab your lukewarm coffee, your notebook and pen, and clear off some counter space. Let's do this. So we are finishing up another bi-weekly decluttering challenge in the group, 15 minutes a day for 5 days. I would really love it if you would join us. So you can actually get a lot done in 15 minutes, whether it be your kids' stuff or your own stuff. And so just come on over and join the Facebook group again, tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. So as I mentioned, Amy had this question about kids being emotionally attached to everything coming into their home. And she says, do you include them in decluttering? Do I do it when they're not around? Most of the time they don't miss the stuff that I get out of the house, but once in a while they lose their minds over objects they haven't touched or mentioned in months. So let's go ahead and tackle this question. I love this question. Well, there are some kids, I would say, that are definitely more emotionally attached to physical items. That being said, I know for my own kids that if I gave them the opportunity to keep everything, they would keep everything, because it doesn't matter to them whether they're tripping over toys. It doesn't really matter to them if our Lego lab that's currently in the living room takes up every square inch. Just like they would be happy to have candy for breakfast, they would be happy to go to bed at 10 p.m., they would be happy to be on their tablets for 8 hours a day instead of us putting limits on the amount of screen time that they have. So I like to look at setting boundaries for physical stuff the same as I would for their bedtime, for what they're eating, for screen time, anything that's affecting their health and well-being, and their physical environment does affect their well-being. So it's really important that we look at limiting the physical stuff that they have, similarly as limiting other things in their physical environment. So with that in mind, I would recommend that you first have a conversation with them around, okay, you're saying you want to keep all of this, but what does it mean for something to be your favorite? Like, if you could only pick one ice cream flavor, what would it be? If you could only pick one thing to do for your birthday, what would it be? And it's kind of this concept that if everything is special, then nothing is special. And another member of the community told me about this Bluey episode, and those Bluey episodes are short, which is one of the really nice things about them. But it's season 2. The episode number seemed to be different, but when I went to Disney Plus, it was episode 48, and it's called Mr. Monkey Jocks. So I'll be sure to link to that in the show notes. So essentially, It opens up with Bluey looking at a catalog and circling all of the things that she wants to get. Oh, this looks good. This looks good. And meanwhile, the dad Bandit comes in and is like tripping over all the toys. And then Bingo is like, I'm bored. So it's just, they really hit the nail on the head with that show sometimes. And so pretty much the dad Bandit has had it. And he's like, we're doing a chuck out, which is essentially making decisions about decluttering and checking things out. But when he puts the two bins in front of them to make decisions, lo and behold, they want to keep everything except for this one little monkey, Mr. Monkey Jocks. And then pretty much the dad, I keep wanting to call him dad, but Bandit says, you need to show me Mr. Monkey Jocks is special if you want to keep him. And so then they do all this stuff to make Mr. Monkey Jocks feel really special. And at the end, they are realizing, the kids are realizing that when you have everything you want, nothing feels special anymore. And donating toys to others can make them feel special. So it's a really cute episode, might be good for those younger kiddos. And essentially, I feel like the one thing I would change with that approach, because if you do have a keep and donate bin, probably your kids are going to say, I want to keep everything. But when you use the container concept, which I talk about all the time, is from Dana K. White. I wish I could take credit. I can't. But she talks about making the container the bad guy. So once we pick a limit for, okay, all of your stuffies are going to fit in this space, you're going to start with the ones that are the most special, and then we're going to have room for that based upon how important it is to have stuffies in this space. We're not going to have stuffies take over the room, because then we have nowhere to sleep, right? Just remembering that our home is living space and storage space somewhat, but our home should be more living space than storage space. And that kids recognize that having too much stuff prevents us from being able to live and move and do the things that we want to do as a family. So the one thing I would change in that Bluey episode would be, instead of having that keep and donate, to actually use that container concept to make it a little bit more, making that container the bad guy instead. So once you're able to do that, perhaps you still have these trinkets and these junky things that they want to keep. The example that Amy gave, oh my gosh, it made me laugh so hard. It was like a kiwi that came with this fork spoon combo. That was like a plastic thing. And her child said, I want to keep this forever. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what do we do with that? Well, I've spoken on the podcast before about the treasure boxes that I use, treasure in air quotes, with my boys. My boys are now 7 and 8.5, but we have been doing this for years because they've been getting a bunch of junky stuff for years, because that happens starting at a very young age. So we're setting a physical limit. I use a small shoebox, and you can decorate it. You can put the kid's name on it. They can put stickers and glitter and whatever they want to do to make it special, so that they're taking ownership of the process. And then anything that falls into that trinket category will go in there, and making decisions again based upon the container. And they're the ones making the decision. So using the container concept and having those boundaries is really key. Now, another approach that you could take, and I'm going to be linking to several episodes in the show notes, including a new playlist that I have created for episodes all about kids and family. But one of the other recommendations I have is to find what their motivation is. So my kids didn't really want to get rid of things until I offered to try to sell them on Facebook Marketplace, and then they could use the money to do something special. And perhaps instead of getting stuff, that might be an experience. So, okay, well, if I'm able to sell these items, we can go get ice cream, or we can save this to go to a water park. But this is a really maybe controversial approach. If you feel like no one's going to buy this stuff, or it's not worth my time and energy to buy it, to sell it rather, you could just say that you're selling it and just give your kid like $5 or whatever it might be that you'd probably get at the end of having to go through the rigmarole of putting it on Marketplace and dealing with flaky people. Now, again, slightly controversial since you're kind of like paying your kids to get rid of stuff. But desperate times call for desperate measures. Am I right? So you can take that one with a grain of salt. But I think just recognizing that when it comes to physical stuff, we need to enforce the boundaries that are going to allow our kids to thrive. It doesn't make us a bad parent because we are saying no. It's teaching our kids that there are limits around the amount of stuff that we can have in our home, and the way that we can enjoy our time as a family is to focus less on the physical stuff and more on the connection and what we're able to do in our home. So I hope that that was helpful. Again, I'm going to link to all of the episodes in the show notes today to give you some extra support. And if you have a burning question, you can head on over to the community. You can also go to simplebyemmy.com/podcast and you can leave me a voicemail, and I would be happy to feature your question on the show. So I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Thursday. Bye for now. If you like today's podcast, here's what you can do. Just take 30 seconds to leave me a review. I know you're a busy mama. You're overwhelmed, in fact, but 30 seconds of your day makes such an impact. I'll be blessed by your words. They'll definitely make my day. And who knows, you might be entered for this month's giveaway. In Apple Podcasts, scroll down to write a review. Thanks so much for your time. I'm so grateful for you.